When you come to events, any event, as a delegate, and I've been in many events as a delegate, what you hope to achieve is, you're either going to learn something new, somebody's going to be provocative, or going to offer a different opinion that you may not have known about when you came into the conference. And hopefully we'll achieve that by 8:30 today when we hear all the speakers. But before we get to that, before we talk about those issues and we talk about redefining media, I first of all want to kind of define define television and where it is today, and talk about things that we all actually should know, and if people in the room don't know, they should be aware of it. And that is that, TV is actually in rude health. It's in a very strong position in lots of ways. And the reason I say that is because, TV does deliver a very strong return on investment, and there's bundles and bundles of evidence to prove this. There's evidence in terms of work that Carat's done individually with some of our clients that not only shows that there's a strong return on investment in terms of sales, but there's actually a strong return on investment in terms of bottom line profit to the bottom line. And these are compelling figures that consistently prove that time and time again. I think Geraldine, is going to, in her presentation, touch on some of the work RTE have done in terms of return on investment. And there's bundles and bundles of examples from the UK about how TV consistently delivers for advertisers a strong return. So if people aren't aware of that, they should be absolutely aware of that, because if people and clients want to grow their business, one way of growing their business is through television. And when I mean return on investment, what I mean is that for every euro you spend, that return is greater than that on the bottom line profit. And there's bundles of examples that prove that point. Second thing that everybody should know, and if you don't know, again, I think you should be aware of it, is that, despite all the technology change, and there is huge technology change, traditional viewing levels of TV are actually extremely healthy and have been over a long time. If you look at the chart there, it's just a simple chart that looks at average adult minutes viewed to TV over the last number of years. So in 2006, the average adult spent 190 minutes viewing traditional TV, the TV in the corner of the living room, and year to date that's to 212 minutes. So, when I say TV's in rude health, I really mean it. There's obviously issues with broadcasters at the moment in terms of they're under significant revenue pressures, which is fair enough. But the foundations of TV are very strong. When you have a medium that delivers a very strong return on investment, and a medium that is consistently delivering strong viewer interaction in terms of viewing. So that's a really great point to start. And that's kind of defining where TV is at now. So when I talk about redefining TV and TV in the future, what am I really talking about? I think it does come down to one particular word, and that word is convergence. And people have been talking about convergence for a long time, and people are saying convergence is here now. What does convergence actually mean? And this is actually a quote from Nicholas Negroponte, who's a founder of MIT Media Lab in Boston. And he said by the year 2000, some people are going to actually not really know whether they're watching a TV or a PC. Now, the reality is that didn't happen. I think everybody in this room knows if you're watching TV, that it actually is your TV, even though that TV may have other abilities to do things that a PC can do. But you do actually know you're watching your TV. And I think convergence hasn't happened the way people thought it would. So they thought that maybe, a single platform, a single platform or a single device, that would be how convergence would work. And actually, that hasn't happened. When you look at connected TVs, PCs, tablets, smartphones, that demonstrates that people watch, share, and transact across multiple devices. So convergence is really about interconnectivity. And what that means for advertisers in terms of TV advertising and for advertisers is that they have to move away from, we're talking about connected devices and connected people, have to move away from a brand channeled message from a brand to a consumer, and work towards creating valuable consumer brand interactions. And what do I mean by valuable consumer brand interactions? What I mean is talking to the right people at the right time, in the right place, in the right context. And again, what does that mean about talking to the right people at the right time, in the right place, in the right context? What does that mean in the context of TV? Because, you have a TV, you have a smartphone, you have a PC. So what is that context? What's the right time and right place? So that's kind of the key challenge. And we've looked at our own research and the research. And even though we're looking at a world of connectivity, in terms of the TV now can connect in various ways, the vast majority of people, when they look at the actual TV, the main use they want from that TV is its original and best use, watching TV. That's the reason why they want to watch TV. Now, if you actually do want to supplement that TV viewing in other ways, do you want to supplement that through social interaction, through maybe transactions, or do you want to supplement it with extra content, but you want to do that on the second screen, not on the first screen. You want to do that on their tablet or their PC or their mobile. They tend to want to watch TV in the way they've always watched TV. And if you look at any research that asks people the criteria for why they've purchased the television, the criteria tends to be, obviously price, but outside of price, tends to be the quality of the picture and the size of the TV. And if all the males here, when you think the size of the TV, and you come home and you say, and the girlfriend wife says, your TV is very big, it's going to dominate the room, and you say, that's the point. But, the size and quality of the TV is hugely important. And what that means is, because of the size and quality of TVs now, the traditional TV in the corner of the room or on the wall, is by far the biggest premium or the best premium view in the household. And most people want to watch that in a relaxed state of mind still, with their feet up after the kids are in bed or a day's work. And that is still the absolute case now. Yes, they do want some connectivity with their TV, so the video on demands, absolutely. Sharing devices, maybe a movie that you have on your PC, you want to share it with your TV. But that still is kind of the same, it's the same relationship with the screen. They want to view that in a relaxed mode, the way they've always viewed TV, even if it's linear TV, recorded TV, video on demand, they actually want to watch it in a relaxed mode, sitting back, watching TV like they've always done. So actually, when you look at TV in the traditional sense, it's about picture quality and size. Connectivity is actually way down the list of importance. When it comes to the second screen, the mobile and the PC, connectivity is enormously important. By the end of the year, 71% of people in Ireland will have a smartphone. So the connectivity in this case is hugely important. And there's huge growth of the second screen. And we did some piece of research with IAB, the Internet Advertising Bureau, about how people relate the first screen to TV with the second screen. And an awful lot of people are doing other things when they're watching TV. So 78% of adults said, yeah, sometimes when I'm watching TV, I'm online. 53%, sometimes I'm social networking. 34% said, yeah, I use search engines. 33%, I'm on my favorite site. 32% also watching online news on my second screen. My TV screen is still on in the room, or playing games and so forth. So they are doing other things, but they're doing that on their second screen. But the key point is that TV content is often the inspiration for doing things on your second screen. So the content of the first screen on your TV is the inspiration for doing things on your second screen. But even though it is the inspiration, what tends to happen is people see something on TV and they say, yeah, I want to socially interact, but I don't want to do it on the first screen because that's going to intrude my experience. I want to do it on my second screen, on my laptop or my PC. Or they see something, decide, yeah, I want more content. But you don't want that content on the first screen because that interrupts that viewing experience. You want that content on their second screen, their PC, their tablet. And when they're watching TV, often they're watching that as a group with other people. And some other people may not want that content, and they do. So they want that content on a second screen. Or in terms of transactions, and it sounds great and very attractive to have your TV, maybe click on a button and buy a product. But people actually don't behave in that way. They look at the TV, and if they want to buy a product, they go to their second screen where they can browse, they can look at pricing, they can compare different prices, and do a lot of that work on the second screen. So I think it's just, in summary, I suppose, about TV, the second screen, I'd say, in the traditional sense, TV in the corner is still largely about viewing content as it's always been, be it linear content, or be it on-demand content, or be it content that's been shared from a computer to the TV screen. The second screen, the tablet, the iPhone, etc., it's much different. It's about social interaction, it's about transactions, about buying stuff, it's about companion content, extra content, and that's on the second screen. So you have a kind of a dichotomy where you have the lean back position of the television where you're sitting back and relaxing, versus the lean forward of the second screen where you have to actually go to the screen, decide you want a piece of content, click on it and get it. You have the passive experience of watching TV and relaxing, versus the interactive experience of the second screen where maybe you want to share content, you want to contribute to content, you want to create content. TV is often consumed as a group, more than one person. The second screen is very individualistic. It tends to be consumed as an individual. And for many, many years, you know, we all know about TV and commercial breaks on the traditional TV, which is very much accepted, but on the second screen, maybe less so, and maybe can be obtrusive. And how do we actually work around that? So I'd say they're the kind of key kind of issues, or how I would describe, you know, the key fundamental platforms around redefining TV in terms of the television and the second screen. So that's fair enough, but what does that actually mean for advertisers? But I think what it actually means is that advertisers are going to have to understand that how people experience content is different depending on the screen that they're experiencing it. It's actually very, very different indeed. And actually, they're going to have to spend more time, or as much time, understanding how they distribute content as well as the actual content itself. So it's as important to know where you're going to distribute the content, how it's going to be formed, as well as the content idea itself. And that's going to be hugely, hugely important. So what I said was, and this is at the start of the presentation, is about creating valuable consumer brand interactions, which is about delivering relevant content at the right time, the right place, and the right context. That's not just about a 30-second TV ad anymore. Those days are gone. Maybe a brand idea that's contained in a 30-second ad, but that brand idea has to be distributed in many, many different ways. And here's an example of a piece of work we did do, which is based on one idea, one brand idea that was communicated, and TV was hugely part of this campaign. But there was a seeding stage where we looked at blogger outreach programs on social media, Facebook. There's this discovery stage that had search involved and QR codes. There was a buzz phase that involved reach block on Facebook and mobile. There was a release phase, which a TV campaign was launched on cinema, etc. Then there was a density phase, which had other media. And then there was an absorption phase, which looked at maybe consumer adaptation of the content or extra content and YouTube exclusives. So, you know, if you're having that kind of format or that kind of forum, you know, briefing a creative agency or whoever's going to provide content is much more complex than it would have been previously. And it's also more than that, actually. It's more than just distributing content. It's also about how content fits in together, because it's not linear. I talked at the start about convergence, that everything is interconnected. What I mean by that is, it's not about, you know, an individual singular person or a touch point that are separated. They're all interconnected. Convergence is about an action that can have a subsequent effect on something else, because everything is interconnected and working together. And what I mean by that, so the best example of that is the good old media plan. That's kind of an old media plan, I suppose. And any clients that are here, media plans still look kind of like this, I know. But it's a very linear shaped media plan, with TV and radio, and nothing really links together. But that's interconnectivity and connectivity, and convergence means media plans shouldn't look like that anymore, because everything is linked together and everything is different, and how people are consuming content depends on the context they're in. So media plans should look more like this. And this is a real example from Cara working with Gillette in the States. Gillette are a P&G company now, and you know, P&G are a hugely TV company, and this campaign had a huge amount of TV as part of it, but it talked about how everything is linked together, and that's essentially the challenge to advertisers and agencies. How do we actually do this in the convergent world? You don't start with a 30-second ad, and you have to understand how people are going to consume your content, the context they're in, how they're going to consume it, what technology they're using, and how everything links together. So I think that's really important, and one learning for redefining media going forward. What does it mean in terms of for broadcasters? What does redefining TV mean? One thing you can say for broadcasters, if you look at TV revenue and digital revenue over the past few years, that gap has hugely narrowed. So while TV revenues have declined, not hugely, but you know, significantly, digital revenues have grown enormously. So the gap between TV and digital revenues has very, very much narrowed. Cara's forecast globally for next year is that TV will grow by 4.3%, but digital revenues will grow by 17%. Although the figures will be different in Ireland, I think the trend will be the same, where digital is going to grow ahead of TV at a significant rate. So what's the challenge for TV broadcasters? Well, I think the challenge is, you know, how do you actually build search and mobile and social into your product offering? Because what we said at the start is a lot of stuff that people do on the second screen is actually driven by TV activity. So how do you link all that together? And the great thing about TV broadcasters, you're all in the digital space. You're in there anyway. So how can you actually use that digital space more to complement the original experience through TV? How can you complement it to get consumers who want to transact and use broadcaster products, who want to maybe buy a product and use some of the broadcasters' brands that they have, or maybe want extra content and use some of those broadcasters' content. And we've seen some of those things happening. I mean, recently, Ciarán has done a deal with ITV, whereby you'll be able to tag the TV ad and buy product. Z-Box has done a deal with Sky, whereby extra digital content will come down to people's social networking and there's an opportunity to potentially buy product. TV3 have announced a deal quite recently with another company about creating a companion app which gives extra content to consumers. So I think these are areas that, you know, the broadcasters are going to have to grapple with in order to bridge the gap with digital and also try and get into that digital space. So I think that's a key challenge for broadcasters. Another thing, and I won't dwell on this, the key thing on broadcasters, and are doing a lot more of this and need to continue to do, is to offer beyond spot opportunities. These are all examples, and I think I'm hopefully politically correct, examples in TV3 and RTE that we've done over the past, Carat have done. In terms of Lucas Said Yes campaign with TV3, Dragon's Den, advertiser-funded programme with Bank of Ireland and RTE, Special K, sponsorship of Expose Day, and lots of other elements of that. Artist Day programme, which was in the Guinness Storehouse on the eve of Artist Day a number of weeks back, and Field of Dreams, which I think Geraldine may talk about in a little while. So all that needs to happen too. So I've kind of summarised what I think in terms of redefining media from an advertiser's perspective and also from a broadcaster's perspective. But I suppose to finish, to go back to what I said at the start, also remember and think about what we know. And I think, you know, from a broadcaster's point of view, and to influence advertisers, where we have so much empirical evidence that TV advertising in particular drives return on investment and drives sales and actually drives bottom line profit, that's something that you should be shouting from the rooftops about. Thank you very much.